It feels like AI is absolutely everywhere these days. But there's a huge difference between just launching some new tool and actually building a truly intelligent company. So what's the secret sauce? Well, it's kind of hidden in plain sight, a lot like an iceberg. We're going to uncover why the parts of AI that you don't see are actually the only things that can guarantee success. Let's dive in.
Okay, just look at the explosion that's happening right in front of our eyes. In a single year, AI use in U.S. federal agencies basically doubled. But check out generative AI. That didn't just grow, it went supernova. We're talking an expansion of almost 9 times. The race is definitely on, and man, it is moving fast.
So, here's the big paradox, right? If adoption is going through the roof, why does it feel like so many organizations are just spinning their wheels? They're hitting these roadblocks, they're getting tangled up in compliance, and they just feel stuck. I mean, clearly, those adoption numbers are only telling us part of the story.
To figure this out, we really need a better way to think about the problem. And that's where the iceberg framework comes in. Trust me, this simple model is going to completely change how you see AI transformation.
The framework itself is pretty simple, but it's also really profound. Basically, it splits all AI work into 2 parts. You've got the visible tip, that's all the action and projects everyone sees, and then you have the massive hidden foundation below the water that supports everything. And if you ignore that foundation, well, the top is pretty much guaranteed to crumble.
And it all comes together in this one great acronym, ICEBERG. So above the water, at the tip, you have BERG. That's build, enable, reinvent, and govern. These are the actions you can see. But the real power, the real strength, lies below the surface with ICE, infrastructure, culture, and ethics. This is that hidden foundation that makes everything else even possible.
All right, let's start where most companies do, above the surface. This is the world of projects and pilots and big press releases. It's all the visible, tangible work of putting AI into motion. So the 4 key actions at the tip are BERG. You build solutions for very specific problems. You enable new capabilities across your whole organization. You reinvent the core processes, and of course, you govern it all to manage the risk. So let's take build. Wayfair's a perfect example here. They didn't just sprinkle AI around for fun, they used it to solve a massive operational headache. I mean, imagine trying to manage product data for a catalog with 30 million items. That's not a gimmick, that's a targeted solution to a very real business problem. Next up is enable. So look at what Morgan Stanley did. They created a tool they called Debrief for all their financial advisors. This wasn't some little side experiment. They embedded a brand new technology directly into daily workflows, which made their advisors way more effective. That's how you create a widespread capability. Then you get to Reinvent, which is really the next level up. Take Indeed, for example. They're not just trying to speed up old processes. Nope. They are using AI to fundamentally rethink their entire mission. How people find jobs and how employers find talent. They are completely redesigning the very way they create value.
And finally, you absolutely have to govern. And look, this isn't just some boring rulebook. Think of it as the guardrails that create a stable, successful system. Frameworks like the one from NIST, they provide that practical backbone for accountability, making sure that all this building and reinventing is done responsibly.
Okay, so we've seen all the flashy stuff at the top. But here's the thing. All that Berg action is totally useless without a solid foundation. So it's time to go below the surface and look at the hidden, absolutely critical work of ICE.
First up, infrastructure. And just think about this for a second. At the dairy company Milch, AI actually predicts machine failures before they happen. When you're processing nearly 5 million liters of milk every single day, you literally cannot afford unplanned downtime. That is what solid infrastructure enables, truly mission-critical AI.
Next is culture. And believe me, this is so much more than just a buzzword. Just look at the research on tools like GitHub Copilot. It shows that AI can directly make employees happier and more satisfied with their jobs. A culture that encourages experimentation and actually trusts its people with these new tools, well, that's what unlocks real value. It really is all about the human experience. And the final piece of this foundation is ethics. Taisei Corporation in Japan gives us such a powerful example here. They put their HR department, not IT, but HR, in charge of building a human-centered AI model for talent development. And that is proof that ethics isn't just some compliance checklist, it's a strategy for putting your people first.
So you've got the visible actions of Berg at the top and the invisible foundation of ICE at the bottom. True success, that happens when the entire iceberg, the whole system,
moves together as one.
Belniasny Asset Management shows us exactly what this looks like in the real world. They didn't just launch a tool, they built an entire system. They have a central team for support, that's your culture and infrastructure. They have rigorous evaluation, that's ethics and governance. And they have deep workflow integration, that's enabling. The top and bottom of their iceberg are working in perfect sync.
And the result of all that work, just take a look. This is what a successful system delivers. An incredible 95% of their investment teams are actively using the AI system. This isn't some pilot project tucked away in a corner. This is deep, enterprise-wide integration. This is what happens when you build the entire iceberg.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate goal. See, it's not about adopting AI. It's about building a truly intelligent enterprise where your technology, your people, and your processes all work together seamlessly.
So, as we wrap things up, the question for you is pretty simple. Is your organization just focused on the flashy stuff at the tip of the iceberg, or are you doing the hard, essential work below the surface to build that foundation for real, long-term success?
Because in the end, it really comes down to this. AI isn't about flashy demos. It's about deep, systemic change. And the hidden work below the surface, that is what will always, always define the victory that you see above it.